Hello, investors. This is Zhang, Portfolio Manager at Revere Asset Management. Today is a Thursday, November 18th, 5:05 p.m., coming to you from New York City. What happened today? We're staying in the market. We're in an uptrend. Looking at the GROTECTION cage, we definitely saw a lot of deterioration today. We have the market leaders on neutral with the red sub arrow, as many things are seeing distribution and breaking down today. We'll go over many of those names. Pure carnage in our leaders lists as well. Short term, mid and small cap below their 21 EMAs. They're actually below their 50-day moving averages as well. S&P and NASDAQ are below as well with a neutral arrow, but a red sub arrow since the Dow is still above the 21 EMA, and we're looking for two closes below the 21 EMA for the S&P and the NASDAQ. Medium term, we also have a red sub arrow as well. If the S&P and the NASDAQ break their 50 days, that will turn to red too. Long term, we're still well above the 200-day moving averages on the major indexes, and therefore we still have the green arrow. What happened today? Government finally opened up, but broad selling in stocks. Here we go. You can see 21 over 21 list down 5.5%. Only two stocks up, 19 stocks down. Turbo 12 down 8.69%. One stock up, 11 stocks down. Big 8 down 2.2%. RG8 down 3.74%. S&P 500 down 1.66%. RSP down 1.13%. The Q's down 2.04%. QQEW down 1.41%. Dow Jones down 1.65%. Mid caps down 1.86%. Small caps down 2.77%. Global 60/40 equities bonds down 1.07%. GROTECTION down 1.91%. And Turbo down 2.83%. So definitely some losses today. So jumping right into it, as always, from the chart of not the VIX, but the S&P. We had 4 days up in a row after the upside reversal last Friday off the 50-day. Nice wedge pop above. Started with some tight days, but today just a gap down and really trend down day all day, breaking that 10-10 high as well and cracking the 821 EMA. I want to show a 1-minute chart because we're looking at a key level here. This was 21 EMA intraday. We broke below, retested it 1, 2, 3 major times, failed there, and that was pretty much it. We couldn't get back above that 21 EMA or this breakout level. Back below now, and now we're contending with the 50-day moving average once again. Long-term trend on the weekly is still intact, still above the 10-week, but if we start breaking that, the 20-week is definitely in play at around 6,500. RSP is definitely weaker, breaking the 821 and 50 on big volume. This has really done nothing since late 2024. It's made zero progress, as you can see. And that really highlights most of the market besides the top mega cap weighted stocks. You can see RSPs here versus S&P made a big move, and that is primarily because of the MAGS, the mega cap ETF, which also broke its 50-day today. The Qs, more damage today because it's heavily weighted in tech, down 2.04, back to the 50-day moving average, bounced so far, but definitely seen a lot of distribution come in. Equal weighted cracks the 50-day, and this pretty much has done nothing in last year as well. Dow Jones, you can see, made a new high, over 48,000, failed, closing below the 8. Mid caps breaking the 821 and 50 as well. And you can see since late 2024, it's actually been at a loss. Russell, since late 2024, at a loss as well. It's done almost nothing, breaking the 821 and 50. The VIX closed at 20, up 12% today. Is definitely a warning sign. Anything above 20 can lead to extreme volatility and just pull back in correctional territory. The dollar rejects 100 and looking to break down now below the 821. 50-day is rising, so we'll see what happens there. Gold even saw weakness. There was really nowhere to hide today. Silver, same thing, weakness inside day though, down 1.86%. And then Bitcoin cracks his bear flag below the 200-day moving average. We will see what happens here. The next really key level is 50, and then we'll see what happens down at about 41, which is that election breakout. That seems like a reasonable place to land right now. And now finally, bonds. Even bonds are down too, with rates higher, breaking a bear flag at the 50 BND. TLT also breaking a bear flag at the 50-day moving average as well. So that being said, that is it for the inter-asset correlation. Let's head to the tail of the tape now. Again, VIX, we covered that. CNN fear and greed at 24, dropped 11 to extreme fear. AAII, bulls dropped 6.6 below average. Neutrals dropped as well, and then bears dropped well above historical averages to 49.1. NAM also dropped to 87.9, which is 3 points lower than last week. We're pretty much operating on the bear case now, but we're still looking for a sustained break below the 21 EMA for the S&P and the NASDAQ, which we still haven't gotten yet. Tomorrow could be that. News government reopens, and again, no CPI or economic data today. We're also seeing the expectations for further easing from the Fed are waning. Boston Fed President Susan Collins said yesterday afternoon that she'd be hesitant to ease policy further. And the CME Fed Watch tool, we're seeing probabilities drop significantly. Let's look at that real quick to check up on that. Right now, we're sitting at pretty much 50-50 if we get a rate cut next month or not. And I think that's part of the reasons why there's an overhang on the markets right now. This was near 100% just a month ago. And you know how the dynamics of interest rate goes with risk on assets. Today's keys, we're watching S&P versus 21 EMA and all-time highs. We closed below both. Qs versus 21 and all-time highs, closed below both. And then the Russell closed below 21 and 50 days as well. Day count, consolidation 1 to down 1 day below the 8 EMA, 1 day below the 21 EMA. Pretty much today was just a full trend day. S&P ATR does drop to 1.09% as well. Sorry about this highlight, the low of today. I'm not sure why that didn't update, but yeah, the high of today was 68.28 and the low was 67.24. So I'll definitely fix that. Sectors, bond yields were up, bonds are down. Staples and healthcare were up, RevX was up, rare earths, and then really everything else was down. Dollar, tech, discretionary, arcade, mega caps, uranium, solar, semis, AI names. Grow, we sold BE, Snow, trimmed Tesla TER, 0.93 beta, 3.75%. Open heat, BE, just huge crack below 21, got rid of that. Snow also closed below 21. Tesla, huge breakdown below that level right there. And then TER coming back to our cost and closing below the 8. In Turbo, we sold TNA right at the open. Tried it yesterday with that tightness, but quickly turned around, so sold that. SoFi, also got rid of that when it broke back in the base. Lemonade, we sold this as well when it broke yesterday's lows. Tesla, for the same reasons, Grow. GH closed it when we break yesterday's lows. Baidu just hit our stop at around this area, so we saved some money on that. Amazon, we sold as well after it broke back into the base. TER sold that as well for break even. And then MU, we sold 50% in the strength, closed below the 8. SNTK, we sold 50% in the strength as well. And then XPXL, we also trimmed half for break even. So a lot of actions in Turbo. 0.66 beta, 2.8% open heat. Bottom line is government opens, but broad selling in stocks. Tomorrow's Qs, we're watching the S&P versus 21 and 50, the Qs versus 21 and 50, and the Russell versus 50-day and 100-day. What's going on now? I just wanted to highlight 10 stocks that saw some carnage today, all major AI names. And we'll start from the least being down to the most. These memory names is really the canary in the coal mine. Another close below 8 EMA. If we get the first close below 21, this can really be the nail in the coffin because the memory names have been holding up. NVIDIA back at the 50-day failed breakout seems so far. NVIDIA is just huge crack below, down 6%. Palantir failed breakout as well, below the 50. Tesla cracks this base to the downside. Hood cracks the 50-day as well. CRDO cracks the 50-day as well. Irene cracks the 50-day as well. And see SNDK closed below the 8, almost the first time, or one of the only times so far. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's down another 1% after hours, and then BE closed below the 21 EMA for the first time since this gap up here on the Oracle news. We're just not seeing good action in the markets. Government reopens, markets take a dump. We're seeing AI names like AMD with huge projections going forward. And yeah, you gap up and you give it all back. So that's not what we want to see when markets aren't receiving news well. So we'll go over the 21 over 21 list in Turbo 12 now, and then we'll wrap it up. There's only two stocks that were up today. Eli Lilly has been amazing. Healthcare breaking this weekly base. You can see earnings have been accelerating as well. This has been one of the only strong names in health, as well as the healthcare group. Halliburton finished up 0.33%, but really doing nothing. And with oil coming down, two closes below the 8 EMA. Then from the downside, CLS closed below 21. Huge downside. SoFi, huge failed breakout. CRDO, we talked about that. Light closing below the 8 on a huge bar down 10%. GLW down 7.5, closing below 821 and 50. CCG uranium closing below the 50 after great news. Tesla closing below the 50. Palantir closing below the 50. VRT closing below the 50. TER closing below the 8 for the first time after a flag. Snow closing below the 8 and 21. AMD we just talked about, good news but bad reaction. First Solar closing below the 8, coming back in. MDB looking to fail as well, but still holding the 21. NVIDIA closing right at the 50. ME, we talked about it already. Crowd reversal yesterday, bearish reversal, and closing right at the 21 EMA. Gold miners were even weak, but still maintain the inside day. And then RTX closing right at the 21 EMA. Turbo 12, the only green name was REMX, Rare Earth, Wedge Pop. That actually looks strong, but still closed at the lows. TNDX, volatility around earnings. This was definitely a favorable name. Really nice base, but we're just heading the wrong way. Market sentiment's not helping. And closing below 50. SPEV fails back into the base. From the pivot point, there's still a little bit of left room. Still above the 8. We'll see what happens. Earnings in 4 days. Copper name, closing below 821. EH closing below the 8. LabU pulling back in with XPI as well. EOSC failed breakout, closing below 821. Irene closing below the 50. SNDK looks like a kicker candle to the downside, one of the largest candles, downside candles and upside candles in this move so far. On the highest volume since the move started, so not a good sign. SEDG looks to break out and now fell back in, closing below 821 and 50. FLNC wedge drop, closing below or breaking the 8 and 21, and then BE breaking the 8 and 21 all the way back to the 50, holding 100 so far. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. There could be further unwinds of high beta momentum. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you have any questions, you can email me at ted@revereasset.com. You can also reach out to me on Ted H. Zhang on Twitter. If you've been paying attention, Elon has released a new communications feature on X, and now there's encrypted messages. He's looking to bring out payments as well to make it to everything app. Phone is 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. Website's revereasset.com, and our social medias are YouTube, X, Instagram, and TikTok. And with that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up for today's video. This is Ted Zhang, portfolio management and asset at Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your day.